Hello, and welcome back to Podcast 7. On this podcast today, we are talking about something a little bit different. We are talking about goal setting, and it's a very timely topic as we begin to round out this year and start the new year, which is when many of us begin to think about what we want to do for the coming year. We just start to get excited to have a bit of a fresh and clean slate. And it's an interesting time because I found that over the last year or so that I have become less and less excited about goal setting. It just didn't really resonate with me anymore. And perhaps that is from many, many years of going through an entire month of goal setting for the year ahead and creating my whole strategic personal plan for what I wanted to accomplish with my life. And it just didn't really resonate with me anymore. So over the last year, I just stopped doing plans. I stopped doing them for my businesses. I stopped doing them for myself. I stopped all of the planning and I just surrendered a bit to what really was a part of the much larger plan. But I was talking with some friends this week and the topic of goal setting came up. And naturally, it's just one of those topics that we talk about at this time of year. And it got me wondering, well, is this something I should start to kind of pull back into my life again? What would be the value to me in starting to set goals again? You hear about it so much. I mean, maybe I should be a little bit more intentional with what I want to create. And I had a friend who shared a really powerful exercise, and it was the idea of beginning to create your goal and then looking at the beliefs that come up as you're talking about that goal. At least that was the impression that I got from what she was saying. And I found that really, really powerful. And so I spent this morning actually thinking a little bit about that, thinking about some goals that I would like to achieve. And then I brought in a little bit of channel guidance to help me through that process. And what came through was really, really helpful for me. And it felt like a message that would be applicable to those who are feeling the same desire to want to create goals and to set goals and action plans for the year ahead. So I'm going to get back into the channel guidance and pull through a message, a general message for those who feel like this may resonate with where you are in your life right now. And then I'll come back on after and we can talk a little bit about it after that. I hope that you enjoy it. All right, here we go. Today we're going to talk about goal setting, and we're going to help to give you a little bit of a higher perspective on the process of goal setting and when it might be helpful for you. So what we would encourage you to do, there are some great, valuable learning and expansion opportunities that come from the process of goal setting. And so what you could do is perhaps you have a goal, something that you would love to bring into your life, something you would love to attract into your life in the next year. Maybe it's a new vehicle, maybe it's a new partner, or maybe it is a vacation or a job or a certain amount of money. One of the really great things that you can do is you can begin to jot that down. What would you like to bring into your life in this next year? And then as you begin to jot that down, begin to feel into that goal that you've written down. And what we would like for you to do is to begin to then jot down the feelings and emotions and beliefs that then begin to come up. And so let's use an example. Let's say that you want to generate a certain amount of money for the year. Let's say your amount of money that you would like to generate, we'll just hypothetically say that you want to bring in $200,000 for the year. And perhaps that feels like a goal that you are ready for and that you would like to experience. Well, you can begin to jot that down and first begin to notice what comes up as you're thinking about that goal. We need to get to the very deepest belief that you might have about that. And so for some, it might be a belief of, well, I'm really not worthy of bringing that amount of money into my life. For others, it might be a belief of, I'm just not good enough, or there's no way that the job that I'm in can even provide me with an income or resources or abundance at that with that amount. It's just not really possible. And so we encourage you to begin to jot down, if you will, put them on paper so that you can begin to see all of the beliefs that begin to come up as you begin to think about manifesting and bringing in what you want into your life. Because once you begin to bring those beliefs to the surface, well, then it's so much easier to begin then to look at the beliefs and to begin to replace them with higher thinking beliefs. That process alone is incredibly insightful. So we'll give you a much higher perspective. And this is where affirmations really come in. So when you are looking at a belief and you're looking at a belief that you know no longer serves you, perhaps you want to bring in $200,000. You want to manifest that into your life, but your belief is, well, my job doesn't give me the opportunity to make that much money, so I don't know how that would happen. So you could simply replace that belief of my job isn't providing me that much money. You can replace that with the universe has many ways in which to deliver universal abundance. You can begin to say an affirmation around that. The universe is abundant. Abundant resources flow to and through me effortlessly and easily. You can begin to replace those limiting beliefs with other beliefs that show to you that the universe works in many ways. Don't limit the universe. Don't limit the universe in the ways that it can work to help you to meet your goals and your dreams and your desires. It's well beyond what your job can provide. And so when you begin to look at it from a much higher perspective and begin to replace it with higher beliefs, you're going to notice that your whole perspective around bringing in that amount of money in this case is also very doable. You see, sometimes with our brains, we limit things because we only think it's possible through our own experiences. But there's so much more. That is why we have been saying for quite some time, your imagination is a very powerful thing. But when you set the intention that you want to step into living your highest potential, when you make that intention, when you set that affirmation that you want to live your highest potential, in most cases, that is going to be far beyond what your brain and your mind can ever grasp in this present moment. It is beyond. So when we try to use our brain to figure things out, that's where we limit it. So let's go back again to this example. So let's say you go through that example and you start to realize all of the limiting beliefs that might hold you back from being able to attract that into your life. So you do it and you realize, okay, you've replaced those beliefs. You now know the universe is abundant and that you now co-create with the universe from an infinite supply of abundance, that you are worthy of all of that. Once you step into all of that and you believe it, then it becomes so much easier to be able to attract that into your life. There is a part of setting the intention and then surrendering to how it might come to you and being excited about all of the ways that it might come to you. That's the beauty and the joy of it. Let the universe wow you. Let the universe impress you. That is what the universe delights in. That is so much fun. So set the intention and then surrender to what's possible for your life. So as you begin to release those limiting beliefs that might be holding you back, then you might find there is another question that comes up. So as you begin to write down what your desires are for your perfect health next year, or your improved health, or your vacation, or your new job, or a certain amount of money that you want to attract, whatever it might be, after you release those dense beliefs, something else often then comes up, and that is the question of how. How in the world will it happen? And again, it is that question that will get us turned around. It's that question that will get us pointed in the opposite direction of really where we're going. Because when we try to figure out the how, we immediately lessen how it's going to come to us. We immediately diminish the ways that it can come to us. We immediately lessen that. This is a big one, especially if you have found yourself to be very analytical. If you find that you like to figure things out, this is going to be the part of it that you will consciously need to remind yourself of. Because the first question you will ask yourself after you have removed all the limiting beliefs and you now know anything is possible for your life, then you're going to want to know, how will it happen? And you'll start then to try to imagine how it might happen, and that will limit it. You see, again, when you set the intention for the highest potential for your life, what's going to come from that is so much bigger. Let us use this analogy. Let's say you have a young child, and the young child tells you, or tells Santa Claus in this case, that they want a certain toy for Christmas. That they want a certain toy for Christmas, and that's all that they want is just this one little toy. And you, as the parent, as the Santa Claus in this case, have a unique perspective because you can see the much bigger picture. You know about your child. You know what your child loves. You know your child's gifts and talents and what they love to play with and what they love to do. But you also have something else very unique, and you have a way to tap into all of these different sources and all of these different ways that you can look for the best toy for your child. And so you find the most perfect toy, and you wrap it up, and your child opens it up, and they are amazed at what they have received. Because what they received is so much bigger than they ever thought was possible. They didn't even know that this toy existed. They didn't even know to ask for it. They didn't even know that something this big and this grand and this great even existed. They asked for something smaller, that's all that they knew. And you, with your much bigger perspective, with access to even more, were able to give them something even bigger and better. That is what your life is like when you co-create with the universe, because the universe always has the highest perspective for you. They have the much bigger and broader perspective for you. They are able to give to you something that you didn't even know existed. They are able to orchestrate things you never would have thought would even be possible. How could they even do that? Because they have the bigger, broader picture and perspective and the resources and the ability to use divine orchestration to work with and through anyone to coordinate and to orchestrate the biggest and the brightest on your behalf. That is what is possible for your life when you surrender and let the universe do its thing. So we encourage you, as you are goal setting, use this time to dig deep into those beliefs. Start to look at any limiting thoughts that might be in your way, and don't gloss over this exercise. There is value in this exercise. Once you have begun to clear those beliefs, then you might notice the next level of beliefs that you are starting to work through is the how. And then the minute you start to worry or wonder or think about the how, consciously choose to see the much bigger picture. There is a great thing that you can think of when that comes, and it's very powerful. If you can, when you begin to question or wonder how, If you can immediately say to yourself, it's already done. If you can begin to say to yourself, use that as an affirmation, it's already done. Your dreams and your desires are already done. What you wish for, your goal, is already done. It's already done. You're just lining up to it. And the more that you release those limiting beliefs, the more it allows you to rise up to meet that. It's so very amazing. Sometimes there is a bit of an acclimation into your goals and your dreams and your desires. We like to think of it as if it's a bathtub. It's this amazing bathtub, and perhaps this bathtub contains your biggest dreams and desires. Maybe it's the healing bathtub. Maybe it's a bathtub that is just filled with liquid love. Maybe it's a bathtub that is just filled with all of the opportunities that you've desired. But as you know, when you step into a bathtub, usually there's an acclimation period. You start with one toe in the water, and then you begin to put a foot into the water, and then you slowly start to ease yourself into the water. And then you start to finally, your body begins to get acclimated, and you find that you can put your shoulders under the water. You see, that's a process. And the same is true with your goals and desires. There is an acclimation of even getting your body and your brain ready for what is already done. And so it's an acclimation. You've got to just get your body slowly integrated, because what happens if you just jump into the bathtub? As wonderful as that bathtub is, as delightful as it is, it's going to shock your body. It's going to scare you, and you're going to jump right back out. And then it's going to change the entire experience. Then you might not even want to get back into the bathtub ever again. There is an acclimation process. And so we invite you to trust in that acclimation process. You simply setting your goals, your intentions, your dreams, your desires, set them and know that they are done. They are done. As you release the beliefs, as you release the how, as you release the win is a big one too. As you release all of that and let go and surrender and know now that there is an acclimation, begin to get yourself acclimated and feel into the knowing that it's done. It is already done. There is nothing for you to do. It is done. And you will be guided through inspired action, each step that gets you to where you need to be. Because remember, the bulk of the heavy lifting to get to your dreams and your desires comes from the unseen. It comes from the universe. They have the highest perspective of how to get your dreams to you in the most easy and effortless way. So there is a surrendering and knowing that it is done. We leave you now in this very, very exciting time of year where truly anything is possible for your life and for the year ahead. And so we invite you to use this exercise if it resonates with you, if it feels like it resonates with you, try it and see just how magical and wonderful your year is going to be. In love and light we serve. We are one. Thank you all so much for joining that, and I hope that you found that very insightful. That was very much a similar message that I received personally as I was going through this earlier today, and I find it just very, very powerful. I have personally found in the last little bit of time the how and the when creeping up, and that desire to want to know, or the desire to play in my mind with how it's going to happen. And so for me, it has been, and it is, this is the reminder that I so needed, that it is already done. That has come up in probably every session I have done in the last couple of weeks that it is already done and there's nothing for us to do. We simply let inspired action guide us in the path to the physical manifestation of our dreams and our goals beginning to unfold. And that's a very vulnerable place to be. And certainly another great podcast topic for another time. It is a vulnerable place to be, to kind of what feels almost like waiting for divine inspiration, because divine inspiration might only come 1% to 2% of the time. So we may only get an inspired thought perhaps once a day or once a week. It's that one action that gets us even closer to our dreams and our desires. But there is a surrendering and a trusting to that process, that when there is something for us to do, that we will know, we'll feel it instinctively, that maybe we get that feeling that it's time that we have to call someone, that someone has been in our mind for a long time, and we need to call that person to reach out. And perhaps it's that call that gets us to the next step in the journey, or a desire to want to go to a certain place, and we've had this desire for a little bit. And until we actually fulfill that desire, we're going to continue to have that feeling. That's that divine inspiration. And it's so very powerful. And I certainly believe that that's a great topic in and of itself. But it's an exciting time to be able to be planning for this year ahead in a much different way. In the past, we've always created our goals, and then instinctively we just thought, well, here's all the ways that we're going to make it happen. If you've been in the corporate world, it's all about your plan, and here's the 15 ways that we're going to make that goal come to life. This is much different. This is set the goal, know that it's done, and then begin to receive the inspired ideas that help us on our path to meeting that goal. That's really where it is. And it's a very big shift in the way that we think, in the way that we act, and really in the way that we live in society. It's very, very different. So I hope that you find this a useful exercise to do as the year ends and as we begin to bring in the new year. Thank you so much for being a part of this, and I can't wait to talk with you again soon. Take care, everyone.